Heaven Official's Blessing. Chapter 189. Audio source: wuxiaworldaudiobook.com. Cold White Demon, warm words confounding the Crown Prince. Move, Xie Lian said coldly. That ghost fire didn't move. Why are you blocking my way? Xie Lian demanded. That ghost fire didn't answer, and the other little ghost fires only repeated, "Don't go there," nonstop. Xie Lian didn't want to bother with those things at all, and he struck out a hand, dispersing them. He didn't disperse the spirits. This hand was only for breaking apart the blocking formation of those ghost fires, like waving away a band of fireflies or a school of goldfish. Xie Lian passed through quickly, wilted branches and broken leaves crackling under his steps. Yet when he looked back, the ghost fires had also swiftly caught up to him, looking like it was ready to form another wall. Xie Lian warned, "Don't follow me." That ball of the brightest and hottest ghost fire was flying at the very front, unheeding of his words, and Xie Lian raised his hand like he was going to strike again, warning fiercely, "Keep following me and I just might disperse your spirits." With a threat like this, many of the ghost fires became scared, fluttering and shriveling, backing away. However, that leading ghost fire only paused for a moment in midair before it continued to trail behind him, keeping a distance of not 5 feet away, making Xie Lian think that it was telling him, "It doesn't matter if you disperse me," or perhaps, it knew that Xie Lian wouldn't really hit it. A sudden inexplicable anger filled Xie Lian. In the past, if he shouted, what little minions would dare continue their harassment? They would have disappeared in a flash with tails between their legs. Now, not only do people step all over him as they willed, even this tiny little ball of ghost fire wouldn't obey him, taking his threat for nothing. Xie Lian's eyes reddened from anger and he mumbled, "Even a little ghost like you is like this. You're all like this. Everyone's like this." It was a little funny to be so enraged by such a small thing, yet at this moment, Xie Lian was genuinely filled with furious resentment. Unexpectedly, after he mumbled those words, that ball of ghost fire seemed to have understood that he was both angry and sad, and it stopped in midair, no longer moving forward. Leading those hundreds of little ghost fires, they backed away slowly. Not long after, they disappeared completely into the night. Xie Lian blew out a breath, turned and continued forward. After some 700 to 800 feet, corners of eaves faintly appeared within the beguiling fog aead, like an old temple of the deep mountains. When Xie Lian approached and looked closer, his eyes widened slightly. It was a temple of the Crown Prince. Of course, it was a broken-down temple of the Crown Prince. It had already suffered the pillage of thugs, the establishment plaque fallen on the ground, broken in half. Xie Lian paused in front of the temple entrance for a moment, then he lifted his feet and crossed over that piece of broken establishment plaque and entered the temple. The divine statue within the great hall had also long since vanished, perhaps smashed or burnt, or thrown into the sea. The altar was empty and desolate, only the burnt base of the statue remained. On either side, the body and abyss, heart and paradise were slashed some 30 times, just like a beautiful woman whose face was cut by knives, no longer beautiful, only chillingly savage. Xie Lian kept his composure and sat down on the ground inside the great hall, waiting for Bai Wuxiang to appear. After one incense time, a figure really did appear from within the beguiling fog outside the temple. However, this figure wasn't right. It wasn't as at ease as Bai Wuxiang, and the sound of their steps was wrong too, much more hurried, not like Bai Wuxiang's silent creeping. So, the one approaching must definitely not be Bai Wuxiang, nor anyone he knew. Then, who could it be? Xie Lian was tense and alarmed, and only saw clearly when that person, Eden, finally rushed into the temple of the Crown Prince. Unfortunately, the person who arrived didn't match any of his guesses at all. No matter how he studied him, he was only a passerby, without any flaws. But Xie Lian still didn't relax his guard. Who knows if this could be Bai Wuxiang's disguise? in a wild, barren mountain, within a broken-down Taoist temple, to suddenly run into someone. Xie Lian was guarded against the other was also guarded against Xie Lian. A brief moment later, he finally ventured to ask, "This, Dao Zhang, do you know what this place is?" Xie Lian knitted his brows slightly and looked up. "You don't know what this place is? Then how did you come here?" "I got lost," that man said. "I walked around and around but I just can't seem to get out." Xie Lian knew that this wasn't getting lost at all. If this man wasn't Bai Wuxiang in disguise, then he was most likely lured by something. "Don't go around anymore, you're not going to be able to get out," Xie Lian said. "Huh? What are you saying?" However, Xie Lian didn't respond anymore and continued his meditation. If he was lured in by Bai Wuxiang, then panicking would be pointless. If he wouldn't let anyone go, then there was no point in trying to escape, so it'd be better instead if Xie Lian just waited quietly to see what he planned on doing. That man was also tired from running around, so he sat on the side to rest, the two at peace with each other. It didn't take long before another figure appeared from within the beguiling fog, entering the temple, and it was another confused traveler. Seeing that there were people inside the temple, he quickly approached. "Hey buddies, may I ask what this place is?" Those two travelers started chatting, and a premonition started growing in Xie Lian's mind. Sure enough, it didn't take 2 hours before over 10 people came to this temple of the Crown Prince, one after the other. Men, women, seniors, children, all kinds. Some by themselves, some in groups of 3 or 4, some were whole families, and most of them came because they were lost. The reason they got lost were also numerous and bizarre. Some were even just strolling down city streets, and they could get lost all the way over here. Exceedingly incredible. Inside this temple, Xie Lian even saw that street performer who was adamant in competing against him with the boulder-shattering trick. He didn't look very good. It seemed the competition last time injured him significantly. The two saw each other but didn't say a word, and only nodded their heads. It was easy to see that these were all ordinary people, and they were all brought here into the deep mountains intentionally by Bai Wuxiang. The alarm in Xie Lian's head was becoming louder and louder, but still he didn't move. He dug out a cold steamed bun and bit into it forcefully, chewed forcefully, then swallowed forcefully. He must store all of his energy in order to face a big battle that was surely coming. 4 hours later, this temple of the Crown Prince was bursting with lost people from inside out. Xie Lian had counted silently. There was about 100 of them. Not a single one would be able to get out of these woods. When there was a crowd, there'd be bustling noise, and everyone started chatting. "Did you also end up here for no reason? This reeks of evil," someone suggested. "Why don't we go try and find a way out again?" Someone immediately agreed. Let's go. I refuse to believe that with so many of us, not a single one was able to get out." However, Xie Lian, who was sitting in the corner, abruptly looked up. "It won't matter however much you walk. There is no exit." The crowd looked to him. "How come?" Xie Lian said bitterly. "Because you were all led here by a monster. You're all his toys, so why would he let you all go so easily?" Within the crowd, there were some who thought he was exaggerating, some who thought he was mental, and some who thought he shouldn't be underestimated. Someone stood up. "Who are you? What basis do you have to say such a thing? He seems to be the first one here. When I came, he was already sitting there." "Weird." "Yes, and his face is covered too." "Do you have any proof?" Xie Lian said quietly. "There is no proof. It doesn't matter if you all believe it or not. That monster certainly didn't lure you all here to invite you in for a meal. I don't think I need to tell you all to be a little more careful." Just as he finished speaking, before anyone responded, the sounds of rushing footsteps came from the far distance. Everyone instantly perked up. Another one's coming. There was immediately those who wanted to go out and check it out. But just as they crossed over the temple threshold, they hastily slipped back, since what accompanied that running noise were waves of crazed screaming. That screaming voice didn't sound human at all, and everyone's faces dropped, all backing into the temple. What the heck? Who could that be? It's not some beast, is it? As that figure within the beguiling fog fast approached, Xie Lian narrowed his eyes. No, that's indeed a person. Only, that person was running in their direction and howling deafeningly at the same time, his hands covering his face. Seeing that he was about to run into the temple at any second, Xie Lian squeezed through the crowd and stood at the front to see just what the situation was. Yet it was as if that man had no eyes, and crashed straight into a tree by the entrance of the temple of the Crown Prince. Pang! And he was bounced back for a good meter, then he fell to the ground and passed out. The crowd was shocked, and each of them squeezed about, stretching their necks to see, wondering anxiously. What's with that man? Some who were gutsier, including that street performer, were going to go and examine him, and Xie Lian immediately called out, "Don't go near him." Those people jumped at his sharp tone and asked, "Then what do we do?" "Just let him lie there." "I will go take a look," Xie Lian said. "Then you be careful." "Yes," the crowd said. Xie Lian nodded and approached that tree slowly, crouching down, and was about to move the hand that was covering the man's face when that man suddenly jumped out and let out 2 shrieking cries. That's right, 2 shrieking cries. And it was 2 sounds that went off at the same time. One came from his mouth, and the other came from his face. On the face of that man was another face. The human face plague. Goosebumps were instantly raised on Xie Lian's skin. His pupils shrank, and the crowd within the temple were also stupefied by that horrifying scene. After that man had jumped up, he dropped his hands and was about to charge to where the people were, but thankfully Xie Lian was quick with his hands, and he struck out. That face disease victim was instantly sent flying by his slap to meters away. Xie Lian then hastily backed away to shield the entrance of the temple, while the crowd behind him all exclaimed in panic and shock, "I thought this disease only appeared in the royal capital? So many died in the imperial city. Wasn't that disease extinguished? It's not real. It can't be real. Is that really a face on his face?" What was even more horrifying was the next moment, all around came even more wailing, and over 10 wobbling figures came gathering towards the temple. There wasn't any need to look to know that they were all face disease victims. Someone yelled, "Everyone run! Spread out! Don't let them come close!" However, Xie Lian shouted, "Don't spread out. WHO knows how many more of them are in the woods. If there are more of them outside, then it'll all be over. Then what do we do? We can't just be sitting ducks. Isn't that just waiting for death to come to me?" The branch Xie Lian broke off en route before it had always been hung on his waist, and he pulled it out, wielding it like a sword. "Don't worry, they can't come here. Of course I'd get to say whether if they can come close." This was his domain, the Hall of the Crown Prince. Not waiting for anyone's questions, Xie Lian leapt out, the branch swung with a swish, and in an instant those face disease victims fell to the ground. This wasn't hard for Xie Lian at all, committing his actions to his words, and sure enough none of those freaks could get close. The crowd within the temple were watching with their breaths held, shaken as the fight went on, and when they saw Xie Lian won, they all cheered, hollering to thank the heavens. At that moment, in the night air within the woods, many ghost fires came drifting, dancing madly all over, and Xie Lian couldn't tell if they were helping in driving away those face disease victims, but either way Xie Lian didn't think they were obstructing him. After making a sweep, Xie Lian tried to sheath his sword out of habit, and only when the scabbard came empty did Xie Lian realize what he was holding in his hand wasn't a sword but a tree branch, and felt awkward for a moment. The next second, he saw from not far in the distance a white-clad figure waving, beckoning him. Having just fought a battle, Xie Lian's blood was still boiling, and he instantly gave chase. Don't even think about escaping. That band of ghost fires also zoomed over and followed after him to charge forward, like they were lighting his way. Naturally, Bai Wuxiang wasn't going to escape, and he strolled at an easy pace, his steps languid, but always aed by 7 to 8 feet. Xie Lian pursued for a few feet, but his mind suddenly lit up, and he instantly turned back. Seeing that he wasn't chasing anymore, Bai Wuxiang stopped. Why aren't you following? Xie Lian looked back. You just want to lead me away in order to spread another round of the human face plague, so why would I follow after you to let you have your way? However, Bai Wuxiang only smiled. No, you're mistaken. My objective isn't to lead you away. My objective is only you. Although with the cry smile mask on, his expression was concealed, but for some reason, Xie Lian could sense he was smiling. Moving him out of the way indeed made no sense. If Bai Wuxiang wanted to spread the human face plague again, he could have done so anywhere in the world, and Xie Lian wouldn't be able to stop him, so why must he do so in this deep mountains? Xie Lian stopped in his step. Then just what exactly are you planning? He had asked that same question countless times, and was going to lose his patience. Bai Wuxiang replied, I've already told you. I want you to come to my side. Xie Lian pulled out his tree branch and pointed it at him, and while this was not threatening whatsoever, and even a little funny, it was nevertheless the only weapon he had on hand. Thank goodness, a particularly bright ball of ghost fire landed on the tip of that branch, and helped add some battle aura. Xie Lian demanded sharply, what do you want with me on your side? To take your life. Bai Wuxiang only chuckled softly and said warmly, Your Highness, you are a beautiful block of jade. Allow me to guide and educate you. Xie Lian was feeling both incredulous and furious, and he couldn't help but click his tongue. And you think yourself worthy of educating me? My master is the head priest of Xianle, and what the heck are you? Where did you come from, you monster? Bai Wuxiang extended a finger and waved it. You're mistaken again. Your Highness, perhaps it is better to say that in this world, only I am worthy to educate you. Your master? The head priest of Xianle? His voice became arrogant and condescending. Before me, that creature isn't worth mentioning. On the contrary, you've been taking in very well the things I've been teaching you. Xie Lian spat angrily. What did you teach me? What nonsense are you spewing? I don't understand at all. Bai Wuxiang humphed mockingly. The first thing I taught you was, you are powerless in the face of many things in this world. Hearing this, countless chaotic images and voices flashed through Xie Lian's mind. At last, he gritted his teeth and lunged his sword, but Bai Wuxiang easily evaded. The second thing, he seized Xie Lian, making him lose his balance and almost tripped, and Xie Lian felt a hand pet the top of his head. You wanna save the common people, do you? The common people don't need to be saved by you. They aren't worthy. Xie Lian's movement faltered for a moment, and slapped away that hand, turning around and stabbed again. Pa. Bai Wuxiang snapped the branch in his hand, blitzed behind his person, and 2 ice-cold fingers were already placed on the 2 fatal points behind his head. With those 2 prodding fingers, Xie Lian felt like his brain was going to be pierced at any moment, and he froze. A voice came from behind. If you don't come to my side, then you will never win against me, and you will always be defeated by me. Xie Lian panted and said darkly, Come at me anytime. After a pause, he slowly enunciated each word. It's only right now that I can win. You can defeat me countless times, but you can't kill me. As long as you can't kill me, one day, I will surely defeat you. When that ghost fire heard his words, it blazed even more ferociously, like it was going to brighten the entire night sky. Behind him, Bai Wuxiang was silent for a while, then he asked, I can't kill you. Xie Lian held his breath and didn't speak. In truth, he didn't know just how tough this undying body Junwu granted him was either. If Bai Wuxiang really did smash throughout his skull in a moment of fury, would he still be alive? Just then, Bai Wuxiang said quietly, "Indeed, I can't kill you. But I won't kill you either. Only, don't be too confident now. I hope you won't have regrets over this later." Regret? Why would he regret? Xie Lian hadn't yet figured it out when a hand chopped violently on his neck, and instantly his sight sank into darkness. Within the darkness, there seemed to be light and warmth coming from some distance ahead. Xie Lian moved towards the light, and came to little by little. He opened his eyes slowly, and the first thing that came within his vision was a ball of ghost fire above him. It seemed the light and warmth he felt while he was unconscious came from it. Seeing he'd woken, that ghost fire immediately came pressing over. Then it seemed to have thought coming too close to him wasn't acceptable and backed off slightly. Xie Lian kept feeling this ball of ghost fire seemed particularly exceptional. If he remembered correctly, the one who created a formation to block him was also it. He wanted to reach out and poke at it, yet unexpectedly, his hand couldn't move at all. Xie Lian was perplexed and instantly snapped out of it. He dropped his head to look, and only then did he discover the reason why he couldn't move his hand. All of his arms and legs were bound. He was firmly tied down upon the altar, that broken base of the statue under his body. There were many people squeezed below the altar, and pairs after pairs of round, unblinking eyes were watching him. End chapter.